They called for help, but the inhabitants of Earth's death world came instead. Alex Turner stared at the blinking red light on the console. The message had been garbled, full of static and strange interference, but one thing was clear. Someone was in trouble, deep trouble. The voice on the transmission had sounded human, scared and desperate, but every time the signal cut in and out, it became harder to make sense of the words. The distress call came from a research station on a planet at the very edge of the galaxy. The coordinates were precise, but the danger was unknown. Maya Lewis, his co-leader on the rescue team, leaned over the console and frowned. "This doesn't make sense," she said. "The last report from this station said the weather there was bad but manageable. Now this." Her hand hovered over the console, unsure whether to send a reply or just keep listening. Alex rubbed his jaw. He had been on many rescue missions before, but there was something in this message that made his stomach twist. It was not just fear. It was confusion, maybe even terror, and there was a sense of urgency that no human voice could fake. He looked at Maya. "We don't know what's waiting for us. Could be a storm, could be something else. Either way, we go prepared." Maya nodded slowly. She knew Alex well enough to understand his silence. They had worked together on 5 missions already, each one harder than the last. "We have the gear ready," she said. "Shields, environmental suits, emergency pods. Nothing too heavy. We'll have to move fast." In the hangar, the shuttle waited. Its metal hull gleamed under the harsh lights, and the engines hummed softly, a reminder that they could leave in an instant if things went wrong. Liam Carter, the youngest member of the team, was checking the supplies for the 100th time. He was nervous, but he didn't want anyone to see it. He kept his hands busy, tightening straps, checking oxygen tanks, and adjusting the storage compartments. Every small movement gave him a sense of control. "Are you sure you double-checked everything?" Maya asked him. Liam nodded. "Yes, ma'am, I triple-checked," he said. His voice wavered slightly, but he smiled. He wanted to appear confident. Alex and Maya had both been in dangerous situations many times, and he wanted to prove he belonged. "Good," Alex said, stepping into the shuttle with Maya. "We leave in 10 minutes. Keep your suits ready and your minds clear." The shuttle took off into the blackness of space. Outside, stars streaked past like scattered diamonds. The planet, known as Voreth 9, grew larger on the screens. It looked small at first, but soon they could see the swirling ash clouds and jagged mountains that covered the surface. The planet was called a death world for a reason. Few missions had landed here and returned. The few explorers who survived described it as a place where nature itself was dangerous. Acid rains fell without warning. Volcanic eruptions could wipe out entire valleys, and the winds were strong enough to toss a grown human like a toy. Alex looked at the screen showing the planet's surface. "This doesn't look like any place humans should survive," he said quietly. Maya didn't answer. She was too busy checking the shuttle's landing systems, running simulations in her mind for every possible hazard. Both of them knew that no matter how prepared they were, Voreth 9 had the advantage. It had always survived, and humans were the newcomers. The shuttle entered the planet's atmosphere. The heat shields glowed red as friction tore at the metal hull. Outside, lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating rivers of black smoke from volcanic vents. Liam's stomach churned as the shuttle shook violently. "Brace yourselves," Alex shouted, and they all gripped the handles. The landing was rough. The shuttle skidded across rocky terrain, and dust and ash filled the cabin. When the shuttle finally stopped, silence fell. The engines cooled, and the only sound was the heavy breathing of the crew. Alex unstrapped himself and moved to the hatch. He opened it slowly. The air outside was thick, almost impossible to breathe. His environmental mask hissed as it adjusted, filtering out toxic particles. Maya followed him, scanning the horizon with her visor. The landscape was like nothing they had ever seen. Black mountains rose sharply against a dark sky, rivers of acid flowed slowly across jagged valleys, and ash swirled constantly like a snowstorm of fire. No signs of life appeared at first, but something about the stillness made her uneasy. It was too quiet. Alex checked the coordinates on his wrist display. "The colony should be just over that ridge," he said. "If anyone survived, that's where we'll find them." They moved carefully, stepping over sharp rocks and avoiding acidic puddles. Liam stayed close to Maya, trying to keep pace with the more experienced members. Every step was exhausting, and the air felt heavier despite their suits. Ash clung to everything, covering their boots and instruments. After half an hour, they reached the ridge. Below them lay the research station, or what was left of it. Buildings were broken and twisted. Smoke rose from some of the ruins, and others were covered in ash. It was clear that something catastrophic had happened. "This place didn't just fail," Maya said softly. "Something destroyed it." Alex scanned the ruins with a handheld drone. The video feed showed overturned tables, scattered papers, and empty hallways. No signs of humans appeared, not even bodies. It was as if everyone had vanished into thin air. Liam swallowed hard, his fear growing. "Where are they?" he whispered. "Stay alert," Alex said. "We don't know if they left or if something else got them." Suddenly, a noise echoed through the ruins. It was not human. A low, resonating hum like the ground itself was vibrating. The team froze. Alex raised his hand. "Hold position, don't make a sound." The hum grew louder. Shadows moved across the walls of the broken buildings. Then, from behind a ruined wall, figures stepped out. They were tall, humanoid, but unlike anything the humans had seen. Their skin glowed faintly, almost like it was alive. Their eyes were bright and unblinking, reflecting the dim light from the volcanic sky. Maya gripped her weapon instinctively, but Alex held up a hand. "Wait," he said. "They aren't moving like predators." The figures stopped a few meters away. One of them raised a hand in a gesture that was almost peaceful. Then it spoke in clear English, though the voice was strange, almost musical. "You are not in danger here. We mean no harm." The team froze, stunned. Liam's mouth opened, then closed again. They can speak English?" he asked, barely above a whisper. "Yes," said the figure. "We heard your distress signal. You called for help, but it was not humans who came. We are the inhabitants of this world. We are called the Shardens." Alex exchanged a look with Maya. They had expected survivors, maybe hostile creatures, but not this. We are human rescue team," Alex said carefully. "We received a distress call from this station. Where are the humans?" The Shardens' glowing eyes seemed to soften. "They are gone," it said simply. "Your people did not survive the hazards of this world, but you are alive. That is what matters now." Maya swallowed hard. She had seen death before, but not like this. We came to help," she said. "We didn't expect," she paused, unsure how to finish the sentence. "You came anyway," the Sharden said. "That is courage." Alex felt a strange mixture of relief and fear. The humans they were supposed to rescue were gone, and yet these creatures had come instead. He could see the intelligence in their eyes and a quiet strength that rivaled anything humans could do. Liam stepped closer to Maya, trembling. "What do we do now?" he asked. Alex took a deep breath. "We survive," he said. "We learn from them, we work together. If we can do that, we might make it off this world alive." The Shardens began to move, gesturing for the humans to follow. They led the team away from the ruins and deeper into the planet's dangerous terrain. Every step was a reminder of how hostile Voreth 9 could be. Acidic rivers, jagged rocks, and choking ash filled their path, but the Shardens moved easily, as if the planet itself was part of them. As they walked, Alex couldn't help but feel a strange sense of awe. Humans had called for help, expecting other humans to answer. Instead, it was the inhabitants of a death world, creatures far older and stronger who had come. And somehow, that gave him hope. Maybe humans were not the strongest in the galaxy, but they were resilient. They were curious, brave, and willing to face the unknown. And for the first time, Alex realized that courage could sometimes attract the most unexpected allies. As the sun, or what passed for sunlight on this planet, glowed faintly behind the ash clouds, the team followed the Chardons into the unknown, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The Chardons moved easily over the rough terrain, their glowing skin cutting through the thick ash. Like lanterns in the dark, Alex Turner followed cautiously, scanning the environment. Every step was a challenge. Rocks were sharp, and the ground shifted under their boots. Small streams of acid ran beside their path, hissing whenever the humans got too close. Liam Carter stumbled once and Maya Lewis grabbed his arm to steady him. "Be careful," she whispered. "This place doesn't forgive mistakes." Liam nodded, biting his lip. "I know, I'm trying." The Chardons spoke among themselves in a low, musical tone. Alex couldn't understand their language, but it was calm and organized, not chaotic. Occasionally, one would look back at the humans and gesture for them to keep moving. Their bodies seemed built for this environment. Thick skin, glowing veins, long limbs, they moved without hesitation while the humans struggled. After walking for almost an hour, the team came to a cliff that overlooked a massive valley. The landscape stretched endlessly, black mountains rising sharply against the smoky sky. Rivers of molten rock wound through the valley, glowing red in the dim light. Lightning flashed across the horizon, striking distant peaks. Alex felt a chill, even inside his environmental suit. "It's worse than I imagined," he said quietly. Maya shook her head. "I thought the reports were bad. I didn't know it was this bad." One of the Chardons stepped forward and extended a glowing hand. The gesture made Alex pause. Then the Chardon lowered its hand and pointed across the valley. There, on a plateau surrounded by jagged rocks, were small lights. They flickered almost like fires. "Survivors?" Liam asked, hope rising in his voice. The Chardon shook its head slowly. "Not your kind," it said in clear English. "Other creatures of this world, dangerous." "Stay behind us." Alex's stomach tightened. "Other creatures?" he asked. "How dangerous?" The Chardon's glowing eyes didn't change. "You will see. Stay quiet, move carefully, trust us." The humans followed the Chardons down a winding path that led toward the plateau. The closer they got, the louder the noises became. Deep growls and screeches echoed across the valley. Shapes moved among the rocks, large, black silhouettes, hard to make out through the smoke. The humans froze each time a creature appeared. One screeched loudly, causing Liam to stumble backward, but a Chardon reached out and pushed him gently forward. "Quiet," the Chardon said softly. "Do not draw attention." Alex glanced at Maya. "We didn't come here to fight. Let's hope they're not hungry." As they approached, the creatures became clearer. They were massive, hunched over, with thick skin and long claws. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dark, and each movement was deliberate, careful. They were predators, clearly at the top of this death world's food chain. Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. The Chardon stopped behind a rock and motioned for the humans to hide. Alex crouched low, heart pounding. He studied the creatures. They were hunting something, or maybe nothing. Their senses were sharp and they seemed aware of the humans immediately, though they did not attack. "Why aren't they attacking?" Liam whispered. "Because they don't see us as food," Maya said, her voice barely audible. "Yet," Alex studied the creatures. "We're not going to survive if we cross them," he said. "We have to find another way." The Chardon seemed to sense his thought. One of them stepped forward slightly and made a soft noise. The creatures stopped moving. Then, surprisingly, they turned and disappeared into the darkness of the valley, leaving only the echo of their footsteps. Alex exhaled slowly. "That was close." Maya shook her head. "I didn't think anything on this planet could move that fast." The Chardon who had led them spoke. "They are not your enemies if you respect their space, but if you attack, there is no mercy. Survival here depends on understanding, not strength." Alex nodded, thinking of the destroyed colony. Humans had called for help, expecting to find other humans. Instead, They had entered a world ruled by predators far stronger than themselves. And now, they realized that brute force would not save them. Only their wits, their courage, and their ability to adapt would. The team continued moving, keeping low and following the Chardons closely. As they went, Alex noticed something strange. Small patches of vegetation grew in odd places, thick, dark green plants that seemed to absorb the ash and smoke around them. The Chardons stepped over these plants carefully, almost as if they were sacred. Maya bent down and touched one of the leaves. It felt warm, almost alive. "Do you think it's dangerous?" she asked. The Chardon beside her shook its head. "No, life here is rare and precious. Even small things can survive." Alex studied the plants, thinking about the humans who had tried to survive here. The colony might have overlooked these small signs of life. They had been too focused on the obvious dangers, the storms, the rivers, the predators. But survival in a death world required noticing the small things, using them and respecting them. After another hour of careful walking, the Chardons led the humans to a narrow canyon. The walls were high and jagged, but the path was clear. Smoke rose from cracks in the rocks, and small streams of acid ran along the edges. The humans stepped carefully, trusting the Chardons' guidance. Suddenly, the canyon widened into a massive cavern. Inside, the air was warmer and less toxic. Strange glowing fungi covered the walls, casting light on pools of clear water. The humans paused, amazed. This place felt like an oasis in the middle of a death world. One of the Chardons gestured for them to sit and rest. Alex lowered himself to the ground, grateful for the brief respite. Maya sank beside him, her suit hissing softly as it adjusted to the temperature. Liam sat down as well, his hands trembling slightly. This is incredible," Liam said. "I never thought anything could survive here, let alone thrive." The Chardon who led them spoke again. "Life is always stronger than you imagine. Survival is not about strength alone. It is about learning, adapting, and respecting the world around you." Alex nodded slowly. He thought about the humans who had called for help, expecting an easy rescue. They had underestimated the planet, and now the humans themselves were at its mercy. But maybe, just maybe, there was a lesson to learn here. As the humans rested, the Chardons began preparing a simple meal. They did not eat like humans. Instead, they seemed to extract energy from the glowing fungi and small pools of water. Alex watched, fascinated. "They really are different," he said to Maya. "Yes," she replied. "But not weak, far from it." The night on Voreth 9 was long and strange. The humans slept lightly, aware of the dangers around them. Every sound, the drip of water, the distant roar of predators, the hum of the Chardons' glowing bodies, kept them alert. But there was also a strange sense of safety. The Chardons had brought them here, guided them through danger, and seemed genuinely protective. Alex thought about what had brought them to this point. A simple distress call, a hope to rescue a few humans, had led them to a world filled with unknown dangers and unknown allies. It was terrifying but also inspiring. Humans had called for help, but it was not humans who answered. And that was remarkable. As dawn approached, the cavern glowed faintly. The Chardons moved silently, checking the perimeter. Alex watched, thinking about the challenges ahead. They would have to cross more dangerous terrain, avoid predators, and find a way to survive long enough to be rescued. But he also felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The Chardons were stronger, yes, but the humans had something unique too: creativity, courage, and a will to survive. That might be enough to face the death world and its dangers. "Tomorrow we move further," Alex said quietly. Maya nodded, understanding the plan without needing words. Liam looked up at Alex, eyes wide. "Do you really think we can survive this?" Alex smiled faintly. "If we keep learning, keep moving, and keep respecting this world, we have a chance. More than a chance. A chance to prove something important: that humans can survive anywhere." And with that thought, Alex closed his eyes, letting the faint glow of the cavern wash over him. Outside, Voreth 9 continued its silent, dangerous rhythm, but inside the humans' small camp, courage began to grow. They had called for help, and the inhabitants of the Death World had come instead. And somehow that made all the difference. The sun, or what passed for sunlight on Voreth 9, crept weakly through the thick ash clouds. The humans woke in the glowing cavern, still amazed at the Shardens' strange, otherworldly camp. The air smelled faintly of minerals and ash, but it was breathable thanks to their environmental suits. Liam Carter stretched, yawning. His muscles ached from the long climb and the constant tension of staying alert. Alex Turner checked the perimeter. The Shardens moved silently, their glowing bodies illuminating the walls of the cavern. Alex had watched them closely all night. Every movement was precise, every glance calculated. He could see why they had survived on this death world for so long. Humans were adaptable, yes, but these creatures were built for this place. "Ready to move?" Maya asked, checking her suit and gear. She had stayed awake longer than the others, observing the Shardens and trying to understand how they lived. Alex nodded. "We don't have a choice. We need to keep going before the heat from the volcanic vents rises too high. The predators will be more active as the day warms up." The Shardens led the humans out of the cavern. The path was narrow, winding between sharp rocks and rivers of acidic water. Alex had to remind himself to keep calm. Every step could be dangerous. Liam stayed close to Maya, holding tightly to her arm. He had grown quiet since the night before, his fear replaced by cautious curiosity. As they climbed, Alex noticed signs of movement in the distance, small rocks shifting, dust clouds rising. The Shardens signaled for the humans to hide behind a jagged ridge. Alex pressed himself low, scanning the valley below. 3 predators emerged from the shadows. They were larger than any predator Alex had ever seen. Their skin was black and leathery, covered with rough scales. Their claws dug into the ash, and their glowing yellow eyes scanned the terrain like searchlights. Each step made a low, threatening growl. Alex held his breath. He knew that if these creatures noticed them, it could be deadly. The Shardens stepped forward slowly, their glowing bodies shining brighter. One of the predators stopped, its head tilting as if it sensed something. Then it turned and padded quietly into the darkness, leading the other 2 away. The Shardens turned back to the humans. "Do not move until they are gone," one said softly. "Patience is as strong as courage here." Maya exhaled slowly. "How can anyone survive this world without knowing every move the predators make?" Alex shook his head. "They survive because they respect it. That's the difference. Humans are strong in many ways, but this world doesn't forgive arrogance." The humans followed the Shardens deeper into the canyon. Soon the landscape changed. The rocks became smoother, the rivers of acid narrower, and the ash less dense. Strange plants clung to the rocks. They were dark green and thick, almost glowing faintly. The Shardens stepped carefully around them. Alex bent down to touch one. It was soft and slightly warm. "Are these edible?" he asked quietly. The Sharden beside him shook its head. "Not for you, but they are part of the life here. Small things like this survive where larger ones fail." Maya studied the plants. "Even in a place this dangerous, life finds a way." "Yes," Alex said. "Humans do too, but we have to learn fast." They continued walking, and the Shardens finally led them to a flat area surrounded by jagged cliffs. In the middle was a small pool of clear water, steaming slightly. The Shardens gestured for the humans to drink. Their suits adjusted automatically to filter out toxins. The water was surprisingly clean and refreshing. While the humans drank, Liam looked around nervously. "Do you think the predators will come back?" he asked. "They might," Alex said. "We have to assume they will. That's the rule here." Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the valley. The humans froze. The sound was close, too close. The predators had returned. This time they were not alone. 5 more creatures appeared, larger than the first 3. They moved quickly, sniffing the air, their claws scraping the rocks. Alex grabbed Maya's arm. "Move!" he shouted. The Shardens raised their hands, creating a glowing barrier of light that shimmered in the ash-filled air. The predators stopped abruptly, hissing. Alex's jaw tightened. The humans had no weapons that could match these creatures, but the Shardens' display was enough to hold them back. "Follow me," one of the Shardens said. They moved swiftly, leading the humans through a narrow passage between the cliffs. The predators followed for a few moments, then stopped. The Shardens' barrier, combined with their movement, confused them. Finally, the predators turned back, retreating into the shadows. Alex exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. "That was too close," he said. Maya nodded. "We can't stay out here long. We need shelter." The Shardens led them further into the canyon until they reached a series of caves hidden behind a rocky overhang. The entrance was narrow, almost invisible from the outside. Inside, the air was calm, and the temperature was warmer. The humans felt safer, though Alex knew it was only temporary. Voreth 9 was a death world, and safety was always fragile. The Shardens gestured for the humans to rest. They moved quietly, inspecting the caves for dangers. Alex watched them, fascinated. Every Sharden had a purpose. Every movement was precise. They did not speak much, but their actions communicated clearly. After a few minutes, one of the Shardens approached Alex and spoke. "You are learning quickly," it said. "Your kind is strange but strong. You survive where others fail because you adapt, not because you are the strongest." Alex nodded slowly. "We've survived many things before, but nothing like this. It's not just the environment. It's everything: the predators, the heat, the acid, the ash. Everything is against us." The Sharden's glowing eyes softened. "That is why you survive. You face fear, you act, you think. That is your strength." Maya looked at Alex, impressed. "They understand humans better than we understand ourselves," she whispered. Alex smiled faintly. "Maybe, or maybe they just see what we are capable of." The humans ate a small meal, rationed from their supplies. It was simple but necessary. Liam struggled with the taste, but he ate quietly, knowing he needed energy. As they rested, the Shardens stood guard, their glowing forms moving silently around the cave. Alex felt a strange sense of trust. These creatures had saved them from predators twice now. They had led the humans safely through dangerous terrain. And yet they were not just helping. They were teaching. Hours passed and the humans learned more about the planet. Small lessons, simple observations. How to avoid acidic pools, how to move quietly over jagged rocks, how to recognize signs of predators before they were visible. Every lesson was a small victory, a step closer to survival. But danger was never far away. Just as the sun began to set behind the ash clouds, a loud tremor shook the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling and Liam stumbled. Alex grabbed his arm. "What now?" Liam whispered, panic in his voice. "Stay calm," Alex said. "We don't know yet. Watch the Shardens." The Shardens moved quickly, scanning the cave. One of them gestured toward the back of the cave, where a small passage led deeper underground. Alex and the humans followed. The passage was narrow, dark, and filled with the smell of minerals and smoke. After a few minutes, they reached a hidden chamber. Inside, the temperature was stable, and there was a small pool of water. The Shardens gestured for the humans to sit. Alex looked around. The chamber was small, but it was safe for now. One of the Shardens spoke again. "You will face more dangers tomorrow. Larger predators, stronger storms, but you will survive if you continue to learn, continue to adapt." Alex nodded. "We will." "We have no choice." Liam shivered. "I hope we survive," he said quietly. "You will," Maya said. "As long as we keep moving, keep thinking, and trust what we've learned." Alex watched the Shardens, thinking about the lessons they had already learned. Humans had called for help, expecting other humans to answer. Instead, it was the inhabitants of a death world who had come. And through their guidance, the humans were learning something more important than survival. They were learning how to be strong in ways that the planet could not destroy. Courage, intelligence, and respect were their weapons. And for the first time, Alex believed that humans could not just survive Voreth 9, they could thrive if they continued to adapt. Outside, the ash clouds swirled and distant predators roamed. But inside the small chamber, the humans rested, ready for whatever challenges tomorrow would bring. They had survived so far, not because of strength alone, but because of courage, trust, and the guidance of their unexpected allies. And Alex knew that the greatest test of all was still ahead. The humans woke to a dim, red light filtering through the cracks in the rock. The air was heavy but calmer than outside. Alex Turner stretched, feeling the soreness from the long climb and the previous day's encounters. Every muscle in his body ached, yet his mind was alert. Voreth 9 had already shown him that fatigue could be deadly if it slowed your thinking. Maya Lewis was already awake, checking the cave entrance. She had spent the night observing the Shardens, learning their movements and gestures. "They move like the planet itself is part of them," she whispered to Alex. "Every step, every glance, it's all connected to the world around them." Alex nodded. "We've learned a lot already, but today we need to do more than follow. We need to think for ourselves, too." "That's how we survive here." Liam Carter stirred, rubbing his eyes. "I didn't sleep well," he admitted. "Every sound outside, I kept thinking a predator was near." "You're not wrong," Alex said, "but fear is not weakness, it's information. Pay attention to it and it can save your life." The Shardens began to move first, their glowing bodies illuminating the narrow cave. Alex, Maya, and Liam followed. Today, they would leave the hidden chamber and face the open canyon again. The predators would be active and the ash-filled air would make every step dangerous. But staying in one place was not an option. As they climbed, Alex noticed how the humans were starting to adapt. Liam was quieter, more careful with his steps. Maya scanned the terrain constantly, noticing subtle shifts in the ash and rock. Alex felt a flicker of pride. Humans were learning fast. The Shardens led them to a plateau overlooking a valley filled with jagged black rocks and rivers of molten lava. The air shimmered with heat and the distant roar of predators echoed across the landscape. Alex checked his wrist display. The temperature was climbing and the winds would pick up soon. They had only a small window to move safely. "Keep your eyes open," Alex said quietly. Every shadow could be a predator, every movement a threat. The Shardens began leading the humans across a narrow ridge. The rocks were sharp, and a misstep could send them tumbling into the molten rivers below. Alex felt the heat radiating from the lava, even through his suit. Liam's hand tightened around his arm as he struggled to keep balance. Suddenly, a loud screech echoed from below. A large predator leapt onto the ridge, its claws scraping against the rock. Alex froze for a moment, then grabbed a loose piece of metal from his pack. He swung it, striking a rock to make a loud noise. The predator paused, startled by the sound, giving the humans enough time to move past it. Maya gasped. "That was close," Alex shook his head. "Too close. We have to be smarter, not just faster." The Shardens seemed to notice Alex's strategy. They adjusted their pace, moving to create small distractions, guiding the humans safely past the danger. Alex realized that cooperation with the Shardens was now more than following. They were learning how to think like the planet, anticipate its dangers, and use even small tools to survive. After hours of careful movement, they reached a narrow canyon with walls high enough to block the wind. The humans set down their packs, exhausted but alive. Alex surveyed the area. "We need to find food and water. The rations won't last long and the planet doesn't give rest to those who wait too long." Maya knelt by a small pool of water. "This might work. We can filter it, boil it, make it safe. But it's not much," Alex nodded. "We'll manage. Humans always do." The Shardens began to point out small plants that could provide energy. Alex studied them carefully, comparing them to the notes he had made from previous encounters. Some were edible, some toxic. He made a small collection, careful not to damage the roots. Maya did the same. Liam watched them, absorbing every detail. As they worked, a low growl sounded behind them. Alex spun around. Two predators had appeared, moving quietly along the edge of the canyon. Their eyes glowed yellow, reflecting the dim light. Alex whispered, "Stay calm, don't run. Follow my lead." The Chardons moved forward, their glowing bodies forming a barrier between the humans and the predators. The creatures hissed but didn't attack. Alex realized the Chardons' glow acted like a warning, like a signal that they were not prey to be taken lightly. "Now," Alex whispered to Maya and Liam. He picked up a metal rod and struck it against a rock, sending sparks into the air. The predators flinched, startled by the noise. He repeated it, careful not to overdo it. The predators retreated a few steps, uncertain. Maya glanced at him. "Clever," she said. "Small tools, big effect." Alex nodded. "Humans survive because we think strength is not enough, we have to use our minds." The predators finally retreated into the shadows. Alex exhaled slowly. "That's how it's done," he said. "Not with force, but with wit." The Chardons nodded, their glowing bodies dimming slightly, as if approving. Alex realized that the Chardons were not just protectors, they were teachers, and humans were learning fast. By midday, the humans had gathered enough water and edible plants to sustain them for another day. They set up a small resting area, hidden behind rocks. Liam looked exhausted, but there was a new spark in his eyes. "I think I'm starting to understand this world," he said. "You are," Alex said. "You're learning to think like it, not against it. That's what keeps you alive." As they rested, Alex studied the terrain. The planet was alive in ways that humans did not fully understand. The predators, the wind, the ash, even the plants, they all followed rules. Once he understood the rules, he realized humans could survive. They could not fight the planet directly, but they could find ways to live within it. That evening, a storm began to build. Ash swirled violently, carried by powerful winds. Lightning struck distant peaks, illuminating the valley in brief flashes. Alex looked at Maya. "We have to find shelter now. That storm will make movement dangerous, and the predators will be harder to see." The Chardons gestured for the humans to follow them to a cave farther up the canyon. The entrance was small, almost hidden. They moved quickly, careful not to slip on the ash-covered rocks. Liam's hands shook, but he kept going, trusting the guidance of Alex and the Chardons. Inside the cave, the storm raged outside. The humans listened to the roar of the wind, the crackle of lightning, and the distant growls of predators. Alex checked the small collection of edible plants and water they had gathered. It would be enough to last until the storm passed. Maya leaned back against the cave wall. "This is incredible," she said quietly. "We're surviving on a planet that should have killed us already." Alex smiled faintly. "Not just surviving, learning, that's the difference. Humans don't just endure, they adapt. That's why we're still here." Liam looked around, eyes wide. "Do you really think we can make it off this planet alive?" Alex nodded slowly. "Yes. If we keep thinking, keep observing, and keep working together. Humans always find a way. That's what makes us strong. That's what makes us dangerous to those who underestimate us." The storm raged on outside, but inside the cave the humans rested. They had faced predators, acid rivers, molten lava, and deadly ash storms, yet they were alive. They had learned to use tools to observe, to anticipate danger, and to cooperate with the Chardons. Alex thought about the destroyed colony. They had called for help, expecting humans to answer. Instead, they had found the inhabitants of a death world. And through their guidance, the humans had discovered something more important than survival. They had discovered the strength of their own minds, their courage, and their ability to adapt. Vorath 9 was a death world, yes, but it was also a teacher. And humans were quick learners. As the storm began to subside, the humans prepared for the next day. They would move further into the canyon, face more predators, and continue learning. Every challenge was dangerous, but it was also an opportunity to prove that humans could survive anywhere, even on a world designed to destroy them. Alex looked at the glowing forms of the Shardens. "We owe them everything," he said softly. "They didn't have to help us. But they did, and we have to show them that humans are worth the risk." Maya nodded. "And we will, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who ever underestimated us." Liam swallowed, determined. "I want to prove it too. I want to survive this not just for me, but for all of us." Alex smiled faintly. "Good, that's the spirit. Courage, intelligence, and respect. That's what will get us through." Outside, the planet continued its deadly rhythm. Rivers of lava glowed, ash swirled, and predators prowled. But inside the cave, the humans rested, planning, learning, and preparing for the next day. They were not just surviving, they were growing stronger. Voreth 9 had tested them, and they had passed the first trials. But the greatest challenges were still ahead. And Alex knew one thing for certain: humans were not just survivors. They were adaptable, intelligent, and brave. And that made them something no Deathworld could ever break. The night passed quietly, the storm fading into distant rumbles. When dawn came, the humans would face new dangers, but they would face them together, stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever before. And for the first time, Alex felt a deep certainty. Humans could survive Voreth 9, not because the planet allowed it, but because humans refused to fail. The humans woke to the faint glow of dawn, though on Voreth 9, the light was weak and red through the ash clouds. Alex Turner stood at the cave entrance, scanning the jagged horizon. The Shardens were already moving, their glowing bodies weaving silently over the rocks. Today would be the hardest day yet. Maya Lewis stretched, rubbing her sore arms. "The storm is over, but the valley will be worse now. The ash is thicker, and predators will be hungrier after the storm." Alex nodded. "We'll have to use everything we've learned. We can't just follow. We have to think, anticipate, and act." Liam Carter swallowed hard, adjusting his environmental mask. "I'm ready," he said quietly. "I've learned a lot, and I want to prove I can survive here." The Shardens led the humans down a narrow path into the valley. The ground was slick with ash and debris from the storm. Rivers of molten rock glowed red in the distance, and distant growls echoed through the cliffs. The predators were awake and searching for prey. Alex felt his heart tighten. Every step could be their last if they weren't careful. Suddenly, the sound of a predator screeching echoed from behind a ridge. Alex motioned for the humans to crouch. Two large predators appeared, moving along the edge of the canyon. Their eyes glowed yellow, and their claws scraped against the rock, sending sparks into the ash. "Stay calm," Alex whispered. "We know the rules now. Watch, learn, and act when it's safe." The Shardens moved forward, glowing brighter. The predators paused, confused by the lights. Alex saw his chance. He picked up a jagged rock and struck it against another, sending a loud, sharp noise. The predators flinched. He repeated it, louder this time. The creatures hissed and stepped back, uncertain. "Good thinking," Maya said quietly. "We're starting to control the situation, not just react." Alex nodded. "Strength is useless here. Wits and timing are everything." The humans followed the Shardens into a narrow canyon that curved sharply. The walls were high and jagged, and molten rivers flowed dangerously close. Alex studied the terrain. If they moved too fast, they could slip or fall. If they moved too slow, predators could catch them. Timing was critical. "Move on my signal," Alex whispered to the others. "One step at a time, and be ready to stop instantly." The group inched forward. Every step was calculated. Liam's hands trembled, but he followed Alex's instructions carefully. Maya kept scanning for predators, using every lesson they had learned. The Shardens guided them silently, creating barriers with their glowing bodies when needed. Suddenly, a massive predator leapt across the path ahead. Alex froze for a heartbeat, then realized the creature was heading straight for Liam. Without thinking, he grabbed a metal rod and slammed it against a rock. Sparks flew into the air, startling the predator. It skidded to a stop and Liam scrambled back behind a Shardan. "Quick thinking," Maya whispered. "You saved him." Alex nodded, catching his breath. "We're all learning fast. This is what humans do. We survive by thinking, not just fighting." The group continued, moving deeper into the canyon. They reached a plateau with a pool of water. The Shardans gestured for the humans to rest briefly. Alex knelt beside the pool, observing the terrain. He realized they were approaching the most dangerous part of their journey, a stretch where predators hunted constantly and molten rivers blocked easy passage. "We need a plan," he said quietly. "We can't just rush through. We need to think like the planet, not against it." Maya nodded. "We use what we have learned, observe, anticipate, and act together. That's the only way." Alex looked at Liam. "Stay close. Watch the Shardans. Remember everything they've shown us. It will keep you alive." They moved again, carefully crossing a jagged ridge. Lava flowed below, and ash swirled around them, making every step dangerous. The predators were aware of them now, stalking from the shadows. Alex used small rocks to create noise in one area, drawing attention away from their path. The predators investigated and the humans slipped past unnoticed. "See," Alex said quietly. "Patience, observation, and small actions can control a big danger." Maya smiled faintly. "We're starting to understand. Humans survive here because we learn fast and act wisely." The Shardans led them to a cave hidden behind a waterfall of molten rock. The heat was intense, but the cave was safe. Alex examined the entrance. It was small, difficult for predators to enter. "This is perfect," he said. "We rest here but stay alert. The predators will test us and we need to be ready." Inside, the humans settled down. Alex studied the Shardans carefully. They had survived here for centuries because they understood the planet completely. Alex realized that humans could survive too, not because they were stronger, but because they were adaptable, intelligent, and courageous. Hours passed and Alex planned the final stretch of their journey. They would have to cross a narrow canyon filled with predators to reach the extraction point. It was dangerous, but he had confidence. Humans had learned quickly. They were ready. When night fell, the predators became more active. The humans stayed hidden, observing. Alex whispered instructions. "Move only when the Shardans signal. Use noise and light to confuse the predators. Think ahead. Be ready for anything." The Shardans glowed brighter, signaling that it was time. The humans moved carefully, step by step. Alex created small distractions with metal rods and rocks, drawing predators' attention. Maya watched the path ahead, guiding Liam past dangerous spots. A massive predator leapt from the shadows. Alex struck a rock with a rod, sending sparks into the air. The creature skidded, allowing the humans to move past. Another predator hissed, but the Shardans' glowing bodies created a protective barrier. "Keep moving," Alex shouted. Almost there, the humans crossed the last stretch of dangerous terrain. Every step was tense. The predators followed, but the humans used everything they had learned. They moved quickly, quietly, and cleverly. Finally, they reached the extraction point, a flat plateau safe from predators with solid ground and a clear path. The humans collapsed, exhausted but alive. Liam looked at Alex, eyes wide. We made it," he said. Alex nodded, smiling faintly. "Yes, because we learned. Because we adapted. That's what humans do. We survive where others fail." Maya looked at the Shardans. "They didn't have to help us, but they did, and we've shown them we're capable too." The Shardans glowed brighter, a gesture of approval. One stepped forward, speaking in clear English. "You are strong not because of your strength alone, but because of your mind. You have survived what others could not. You have earned our respect." Alex felt a surge of pride. Humans had called for help, expecting other humans to answer. Instead, they had found the inhabitants of a death world. And they had proven that humans could survive anywhere, not because of technology, not because of weapons, but because of courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Liam looked around at the glowing Chardons. I never thought we could survive here, but we did. And we learned more than I ever imagined. Yes, Alex said quietly, and that's what makes us human. We survive, we adapt, we never give up. The night passed quietly, the predators remaining in the shadows. The humans rested, knowing they had completed the hardest part of their journey. Voreth 9 had tested them in every way possible: storms, predators, molten lava, acid, and ash. And they had passed. At dawn, the Chardons led them to the final point for extraction. The humans stood on a ridge overlooking the jagged valley. Far below, they could see the wreckage of the destroyed colony, but above them there was hope. They had survived. They had learned. And they had proven that humans could thrive in ways no one had imagined. Alex looked at Maya and Liam. This is more than survival. We've learned to respect this world, to respect life, and to use our minds to overcome danger. That's what makes humans strong. Maya nodded. We've earned the right to leave, but we'll never forget what we've learned here, and we'll never forget them. She gestured to the Chardons. The Chardons glowed warmly, as if acknowledging the humans' words. Alex realized that survival was not just about living another day. It was about understanding, cooperation, and proving that humans could rise to any challenge. A small shuttle appeared in the distance, sent from Earth to retrieve them. The humans prepared to board, their hearts full of pride and relief. Liam looked back at the valley, at the glowing Chardons, at the ash-filled skies. I'll never forget this, he whispered. Alex placed a hand on his shoulder. Neither will I. Voreth 9 tried to break us, but humans are not easily broken. We survived, we adapted, and we proved that our courage and intelligence are stronger than any death world. The humans boarded the shuttle. As it lifted off, they looked down at the planet below. The predators roamed, the ash swirled, and the rivers of lava glowed. But humans had faced it all and survived. Alex turned to the others. Remember this. Humans are more than what others see. We survive, we adapt, we thrive. No world, no matter how deadly, can stop us when we use our minds and our courage. The shuttle disappeared into the black sky, leaving Voreth 9 behind. But the lessons they had learned, the courage they had shown, and the respect they had earned would never be forgotten. Humans had called for help, but the inhabitants of the death world had come instead. And through their guidance, humans had discovered something greater, their own strength. Alex smiled faintly. We came here as humans in need of help. We leave as humans who proved we can survive anywhere. That is what makes us truly strong. Maya and Liam nodded. Together they watched the death world shrink beneath them, a place of danger, challenge, and unexpected friendship. Humans had faced it, and humans had won, not with force, but with courage, intelligence, and heart. And somewhere in the distance, the glowing Chardons watched them leave, knowing that humans were a species worth remembering, a species that could survive against all odds.